important meeting. Important for three reasons. First, Nigeria as a country is strategically important for Africa, and not just West Africa. And so if we get our politics right, the chances that other countries in Africa will get their politics right is quite high. So it's strategically important because political parties are a critical democratic institution in any democracy across the world. If you have weak parties, your democracy will be weak. Your democracy cannot flourish without strong, viral political parties. That aside aggregating citizens' interests or aggregating social interests in society, political parties contest for power. They present leaders that we as citizens vote for. The process of selecting those leaders, the process of selecting people who lead within political parties is critically important for democracy. But unfortunately, within our own context, we've had a situation where we have weak party systems. Some argue that most of our political parties do not have ideological basis. Some have also argued that political parties are led by the money bags. It's about the highest bidder and the highest spender. That our parties are so weak that they are built around individuals and not built around institutions. And that's why parties are easily captured, as we experience in different parts of the country. But evidence also shows that citizens don't trust political parties, and that political parties represent interests that sometimes are at variance with the interest of the people. And it is for this reason that about 17 years ago, the whole discussion about party reform started. And if you recall, Justice Uwais, in their committee's recommendation, said one way to begin to reform political parties is to unbundle INEC and vest that responsibility in another institution. The Kuka Center also released an assessment, a needs assessment conducted on political parties. And one thing that came out strongly from that particular study is the fact that we need to do a lot more in investing in building strong institutions within our parties. And so, as we reflect on this very promising bill that has grave potential of transforming political parties, I think that it is important that we reflect deeply on how best do we strengthen our parties. And as the honorable members who are members of this committee, we don't have independent candidacy in Nigeria, so you're all offshoots of political parties. If we ask you to share your experience on how you secured your nomination and up to how you won your elections, a lot of you would have different stories to tell. And some stories are very unpalatable because we've seen a situation where competent people who have a heart for service don't make it to the National Assembly because someone somewhere in their party does not like their face. And that's not how parties should function. Our parties should be a platform for debates, a platform for discussions about the common good, and not platforms for amassing political power to oppress citizens and not deliver on good governance. And so as we reflect on this bill, it is important that we consider the progressive parts of this bill. That the bill in itself may not be perfect, but this bill is desirable. It is desirable because it will reform our party system. And if you look across, one of the most topical discussions in the country is about cross-carpeting, moving from one party to another. And the discussion is whether when people move from one party to the other, what does that tell us about our system? It tells us that there's something fundamentally wrong within our party system. And Nigerians are beckoning on you, members of this committee, that you make an attempt to reform our political parties in a way that they inspire confidence on the part of Nigerians, so that when candidates are presented to citizens, they are not served a fait accompli by the parties. Instead, they are served with people who enjoy support of the communities. It makes no sense to have parties that don't consult with their members. It makes no sense to have parties who don't have updated register of their members. Because how then do you talk about local democracy if you don't have an updated, accurate register of your members? But there's also the issue about funding of political parties. And why should parties be paying high cost of nomination fees, even though political parties see them as a source of generating revenue? Are there ways that we'll think about how to generate revenue and fund political parties in a way that it doesn't undermine, the institution of the parties? And so, please, for us at Kuka Center at Yiaga Africa, we see this effort as an attempt to reclaim our party system in a way that it delivers on the promise of democracy. And is a promise of inclusion, is a promise of accountability, and is a promise of good governance. And we believe strongly that the parties can be a vehicle for that. And that's why we are engaging this particular discussion. And please consider us your supporters in this. But I cannot end this remark by without thanking the European Union delegation under the EU Support for Democratic Governance project that has provided the support for this. Thank you very much, and we know we would soon get into the nitty-gritties of the bill, but I thought it was important to highlight some of these issues. But thank you, honorable members, because you are on recess, and your presence here says a lot about the commitment that you have to the Nigeria Democracy Project, and we don't take it for granted. Thank you, and I wish us all a successful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.